All right. This leg of the conversation, this first leg today, is just like I said, we have to have a conversation, especially about females in Nigeria and their health. What culture, tradition, the ways of doing things, especially from the past, and maybe the need for us to do better as a people. And that is why we are having this conversation today on the ladies. I talked earlier about female genital mutilation, which FGM, that's what they call it. Is a process where maybe a substantial part of the female genitalia is removed for whatever purpose, and which has been found to be harmful. Some will say serve to no any useful purpose as far as the female is concerned, and it has been a source of worry in the world over, uh, either in Africa, but let's talk about Africa. Let's talk about Nigeria, and that is where we are on this day. That's why we are having this conversation today. February 6th of every year has been set aside to be the International Day of Zero Tolerance for Genital Mutilation, International Day of Zero Tolerance for female genital mutilation. And of course, it's a global thing. And in fact, there is a statement, on the website of the United Nations, talking about survivors and, people who are champions of change. And a statement from the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres states that on this International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation, he's saying, let us renew our promise to protect the rights of women and girls everywhere and ensure that they can live free from violence and fear. Together, we can end this injustice once and for all. These are the issue. And female genital mutilation is a human right violation that infringes on the fundamental rights of girls and women. The injury of female genitalia for non-medical reasons can have short-term to lifelong health impact on physical, sexual, and mental health, spanning from childhood to reproductive years and into old age. So you see, that is really worth talking about. And we have someone, that we have that conversation with us today. He has been on an advocacy, education, public enlightenment about issues, conversations that has to do, especially, particularly, categorically about female genital mutilation. He's the executive director of Future Shakers Initiative, Tobiloba Olanipekun. Good morning, Toby. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
It's quite a day, isn't it? And
Yes.
the theme for this year says, towards 2030, no end to FGM, that's female genital mutilation, without sustained commitment and investment. So, quite a broad thing to say. Two key points for me here, talking about commitment and investment. But for you, with what you have done so far, how much of a problem is FGM?
Um, Female genital mutilation,
Mm,
just like you've also tried to talk about um, the definition,
mm,
and especially as stipulated by the World Health Organization, the WHO. Um, but for me and for everyone concerned
mm,
about this act, FGM is a serious, serious human rights violation, and then
mm,
that also has to do with the well-being
mm,
of female of the female gender. I'm talking about the girls and women,
mm,
and this is a practice that has been ongoing for years,
mm.
from time immemorial.
Yeah.
If you should ask me, right?
Mm,
And more than ever, just like the team is stressing on this
mhm,
year, more than ever, especially in the race towards 2030,
mm,
because we have a global mandate.
mm,
All advocates, everybody, including you,
mm,
everyone, we all have a global mandate,
mm,
to, work towards ending female genital mutilation by 2030. So today is February 6th. We commemorate International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation on a day like this every year. 4 more years to go before the global, mandate to end female genital mutilation by 2030. And, when we look at what has been done so far, the advocacies that have been done so far, what young persons like myself, have contributed to, the advocacy towards ending female genital mutilation and all of that, we just see that there is really no time left. And the gains that we've even recorded in the past, some of these gains are being eroded and all of that. So this year, we need to talk about, sustained commitment and investment. That should really be our focus, and how to now bring everybody together as well.
Board. Right. I understand, but that's why I asked that question. How much of a problem is it? Is it really? Is it an emergency? Is it something that is bad that we need to work towards stopping? There are issues and levels of intervention and emergency. So someone will say, oh, something is bad, it's not happening, but we must work towards it. And there is a situation that someone will say, this is an emergency. Let's have all hands on board and on deck to stop this. So as far as Nigeria and Osun is concerned, is it really a problem? Really?
Yes.
I'm talking about prevalence now.
Yes, it is really a problem. It is really a problem. And we need to, more than ever, we need to bring it to the front line now as an emergency, as something we need to pay extra attention to, right? And when we localize the prevalence rate now, in Nigeria, for example, Nigeria, is one of the highest, one of the countries with the highest prevalence rate, practicing female genital mutilation all over the world. We have over 230 million, girls and women that have been mutilated, right? That have
Globally?
Yes, globally, right? And, over 4 million, girls and women are at risk of, of undergoing, mutilation every year as well. And when we now bring it back home, then we need to pay more attention. I like the fact that we are talking about Osun State.
Right.
In the past, in recent past, there have been an increasing effort. Now, let me tell you about, the gains that have been recorded in the fight against, female genital mutilation in Nigeria, for example. Okay. According to the Nigerian, demographic and health survey, when we look at it, the one that was released, the report that was released in 2013, the prevalence rate in Nigeria generally was 25%. Then when we got to 2018, then it's because of the, advocacy, the effort that was put into it, and not talking about just international organizations alone, talking about even local efforts and all of that, individual efforts as well. We recorded, a decrease in the prevalence rate. By 2018, according to the NDHS, which is the Nigerian Demographic and Health Survey, by 2018, we recorded 20%. And then from 2018 to 2024, the last report that was released by the Nigerian Demographic and Health Survey, we are currently now at 14%. So when you look at the past decade, when you look at more like over 10 years now, we've had an 11% sharp decline, right? And which, when we look at that, it is quite commendable, very interesting. This is some of the gains that have been recorded by, youth-led organizations, women-led organizations across, the board in the country and all of that. But regardless, like I said, towards 2030, we still have a long way to go. 14% is still double digits. So we still have a long way to go. So, so in doing that,
but it shows that there is progress. Actually,
there is
work is being done.
Of course,
progress is being made.
But the progress is not enough. We can do better.
All right. Because of time, what are the? Let me ask you. Now you have been on the advocacy thing for some time.
Yes.
What will you say has been the predisposing factors why people still engage? Because we must know what the issues are.
Yes.
So that we know how to tackle it.
So you see, the practice of female genital mutilation are for different reasons,
Okay.
peculiar to different communities
Talk to me.
and all of that. Some practice it based on cultural beliefs, social beliefs, and for those that may like to argue, there have been no verifiable account as to religion backing the practice of female genital mutilation across religions.
Yeah.
Christianity, the Islamic religion, there is nothing that, even our traditional religion. So it is more or less, for non-medical reasons, for cultural or social reasons, right? And looking at these factors, we're talking about culture now. It is the way of life of people.
Believe.
It is the belief. So it is rooted in that. And when it is rooted in that, there needs to be more effort. It is more about looking inward, going to the grassroots, going to the beginning, going to the norm of people. I mean, when you go to certain communities that they have been practicing this for a long time, over time, that was what previous generations did.
And it has been passed down.
It has been passed down. So there needs to be different and systemic efforts that needs to be designed, localized, exactly, that addresses their problem and profile solution.
How easy has it been to attack that particular group?
It's been very interesting. I was on the field.
Because it's a belief system.
Yes, I was on the field sometimes about 4 or 5 years ago. And my team and I were almost chased with charms, right? Because for some of these people, for some of these traditional agents that carried out these circumcisions, that mutilate young girls here and there, for some of them, it is their job. It is what they do to earn an income. So you are more or less not only even telling them about their way of life, you are telling them about, you need to stop what exactly. So
their means of livelihood.
It becomes too personal for them. So even for advocates on the field and all of that, they are increasing risk and all of that. But talking about this here once again, Mr. Femi, we need to now focus more on how we can get everybody involved to ensure we have a sustained commitment. It is not just enough for young persons like myself, for men, for the women folks, just to talk about this act. We also need to look inward. Everybody in the studio, everybody in the station, right? We need to come together and say, this thing concerns me as well. I have female, young girls in my family. I need to take that responsibility. So if every one of us can do that, we can achieve sustained commitment.
Right.
I'm talking about, for the last thing, talking about the investment as well. We need to have, something that we can also refer to as blanket funding, more or less pooling resources together, international organizations, donors, even local. In fact, every person's all together. We need to come together, pool resources together, deploy these resources, support, grassroots organizations that are taking these messages, that are taking this advocacy, that are taking these solutions, right, to the hinterlands to solve all of these issues.
Let's talk about, possibly the danger inherent in female genital mutilation. For some persons, I'm wondering, female genital mutilation, in Yoruba language, this option is called didabe fobiri, or kikola fobiri. So it's circumcision for men. So it's more like female circumcision, and it is. And advocate like yourself, medical personnel, have said it has no benefit at all. It serves no useful purpose. As you can see on the screen, as far as cultures are concerned, these are the gadgets, these are the instruments that some of them use, and you can see the other ones. So how do you, now I want you to, some myths, there are myths around it, actually, beliefs around it. And some of them will say, if you don't engage in this act of female circumcision, just to sound relatable, because so many persons can identify with that female circumcision, the female will go wayward. These are the myths around it. Or okay, they might be promiscuous, okay, and of course, some don't even have a reason. They just know that this is what is done to girls at a particular age.
Exactly.
And so if you are not doing it, you are like a strange person. You are like, somebody that is not accepted. How will you be? So does it really, I want you to speak to that issue, the issue of promiscuity and waywardness, as far as cultural belief is concerned, because it's a big thing. Nobody wants her or his girl to be wayward and promiscuous. So some might say, if only for that reason, let me do it. But does it have anything to do with lifestyle, actually?
Just like you mentioned, right, there are a lot of myths. There are just lots of myths that are unfounded, that when you look at it, when you analyze it, does not make any sense.
Let's speak to that.
And one of the things we do when we go to the field and we are talking with locals, we're talking with people, we're talking with fathers and mothers that have this conception and say, oh, it's because we don't want our children to be promiscuous. We don't want, and then we tell them, we said, let us look around your community. If you are practicing this for a long time, why is your community having teenage pregnancy? On the high, I thought you said you don't want them to be promiscuous. So it is not the solution to that. And we also take our time, we also take our time to do, an extra, or we also take our time, to complement our effort with sex education, telling them that this is a proven way. You need to educate your young girls. You need to educate, you need to give them access to education as well. Quality education. You need to ensure that they are hands-on. They are doing something. There are a lot of things to make sure that they do not turn out the way you are feeling. But if you are saying this is the way, or has it been yielding any result? And surprisingly, interestingly, rather, they have always agreed, because we tell them the bare truth. Look around in your community. Why are we still having teenage pregnancy? If the practice of female genital mutilation is high in your community. I thought you said one of the reasons why you are practicing it is for you to stop, all of this. But why is teenage pregnancy on the rise? Is it stopping it? It is not. So these are myths. It does not have any benefit whatsoever. So there are better ways.
Let's talk about the consequences for, that associated with this kind of, practice. Because around here in Nigeria, and because of the traditional religious us, we have this thing to say, if you are told to do something, somebody will ask, if I don't do it, so what will happen? Because we rather see things from that point of view. And I usually make this joke around to say, if you are told that a particular form today, let's say one empowerment form, Legito, has, is out, the next question somebody will ask is not how beneficial, how can I get, is when is it closing? That's the thing. Oh, jam form is, you can reckon with this. You tell me form is out, the next person is, when is it closing? So people want to know that if I didn't do this, what will happen? So if they see the danger, maybe some might want to say, okay, maybe let's give you a lesson. So let's talk about the consequences.
Talking about consequences, especially when it comes to the angle of the law frowns really hard on the practice of female genital mutilation. And for people to know, there's a federal law that has been domesticated by over 30 states in the country now, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act.
So is it violent?
Yes.
It's criminal.
Is a serious human rights violation.
Crime?
Yes, it is a crime.
Okay.
It is a crime. And way even before, the VAP Act, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, was passed at the federal level by the then administration of President Goodluck Jonathan. I think that was in 2015 or thereabout. Before it was passed, Osun State has long before actually, passed a law, in regards to the practice of FGM. The Osun Prohibition Act, the Osun Prohibition, FGM Prohibition, has been passed, I think, since about 2003. And my organization at a point was trying to amend the law to ensure that it has more effect when it is being applied by the law enforcement
Talking
agencies.
about enforcement.
Yes, that it has. We were trying to do that at some point with the then Speaker, Right Honorable Timothy Oweye. Back then, we were trying to do that to amend the law itself before the state decided to also domesticate the.
So it's against the law.
It's against the law.
Let's talk about the health
and there are
implications
penalties for it.
Health implications.
Yes.
Let's talk about the health implications to that.
All right. Practice. So we're talking about the health implications as well. There are serious health implications. In fact, way before civilization, many of the deaths that have been recorded by women, especially even at the time of childbirth, even as a result of female genital mutilation. So, and one of the dangerous, because of time, I'll just talk about one of it.
We have less than a minute.
Yeah, because one of the dangerous, health implications is that, FGM mutilation, actually leads to what we know as fistula in women. And it is yes, it is a very, and for some, it is just unending, bleeding. There are also various aspects of infections.
Infection.
So it has serious health implications as well.
Yeah. Here, even from the document available on the United Nations website, urinary problems, impaired wound healing, mental health issues, even death.
Yes.
Infections, genital tissue swelling. We have the long time and the short time.
Exactly.
And chronic genital infections and all of those things. So we hope our people will know that time is evolving. There is no harm in admitting that maybe it's high time. Some practices are ended, because it serves no purpose. Again, we most sincerely thank you this morning, Tobiloba Olanipekun, for your time and for what you do from your end at the Future Shakers initiative. He's the executive director, Tobiloba Olanipekun. Thank you. One will wonder why you, even as a male, would be so interested in that. Maybe. Okay.
Yeah. So for someone like me,
we have to go. Yeah.
Quickly. For someone like me, as a man, I have to be an ally of the female gender. It concerns me as well. So it should concern you as well. It should concern everybody.
You have a mother. Yes. You will have a wife.
Yes.
And possibly have daughters as well. So, but thank you for what you do.
Thank you
at your end. And of course, this is an ongoing conversation. It's not a one-off. Everybody should be informed. Female genital mutilation serves no purpose, no benefit, no health gains. It doesn't have to do with morality. It's just a practice that needs to be ended. Commitment from everybody and investment from everybody as well. And it starts now. Stay with me. When we come back, we change the gears to talk about governance and, of course, politics. Stay with us.